The Veldt. It's an old short story written by Ray Bradbury that goes a little something like this. The parents have a house that does everything for them. The nursery projects an African Veldt that seems a bit too real for them. The children shrug it off when asked about said Veldt. Parents hear familiar screaming. Parents advise psychologist. Psychologist says, negligence. Parents get eaten by the lions. The end. Kind of a gloomy ending, eh? Now, I know what you're thinking. What's the point? Why on earth would Mr. Bradbury write such a story? Well, that's a great question. Today we'll cover 3 key questions. Number 1. How does this story illustrate the dangers of excessively relying on technology? Number 2. How does this depiction serve as a warning for today's society? And number 3. What other examples can support the theme of the Veldt? Let's start with numero uno. This right here. You can read this jumble of words on your own. I ain't saying all this again. So, in the story, we see that there's a house that does absolutely everything for the family. Cool, right? The children also have their own nursery that can create any virtual world they desire. Double cool! However, what isn't so cool is that the kids have been virtualizing an African Veldt. Over, and over, and over. What else may be a bit concerning is that the parents hear awfully familiar screaming every so often. To top that all off, the kids deny the fact that the Veldt ever even existed. They're also shown to not even look at their parents when speaking to them, besides the fact that they hardly ever speak to them in the first place. It's kind of scary to think that the nursery could project quite literally anything the children desired. The story says this. The children thought zebras, and there were zebras. Sun, sun. Giraffes, giraffes. Death, and death. Now, back to the question. How does this show the dangers of excessive reliance on technology? Well, evidently the children have no regard for their parents in any way whatsoever, seeing the house and the machinery within it to be their true family. Looking back at the story, we see David McLean saying this. You've let this room and this house replace you and your wife and your children's affections. This room is their mother and father, far more important in their lives than their real parents. And when George threatens to shut the room down, this happens. The 2 children were in hysterics. They screamed and pranced and threw things. They yelled and sobbed and swore and jumped at the furniture. Unfortunately, this can be observed in real life as well. Have you ever seen someone with their head buried into their phone, not bothering to talk to you or anyone else? Yes. Say yes. Right now. We all have. Relying on technology like this can prove to be extremely unhealthy and dangerous, since it can lead you away from what really matters. In the story, the parents ended up ignoring their kids, and in turn, the kids ignored them, soon simulating their parents getting killed over and over, hence the familiar screaming. At the end, the children locked their parents in the nursery after they attempted to switch off the room, and they got gobbled up by the lions. Yum. That can't really happen in real life, but it does act as a symbol of what technology can do to us, leading us to the second question. How does this depiction of technology serve as a warning for today's society? Well, once again, the kids favored the technology itself over their real parents. The family relied extensively on technology, and it pretty much separated the kids from their parents. How does this serve as a warning? To answer that question, we'll look at another story by Mr. Bradbury that has a similar topic, Fahrenheit 451. In Fahrenheit 451, the world is completely overrun by technology, and all books have been outlawed. The government thinks that people would be happy with an empty mind, but one particular fireman, Guy Montague, isn't exactly that. His wife, Mildred, has developed an addiction to technology. The parlor walls are lined with screens that she calls family, even though poor Guy is her actual husband. Familiar? Both of these stories serve as warnings of the potential dangers of reliance on technology. Bradbury feared that people would lean on it in the near future, forgetting about family and life itself, just like Mildred and the kids. Question 3. What other examples support this theme? As I've mentioned before, Fahrenheit 451 contains plenty of similarities to the Veldt, depicting a dystopian society where everyone uses technology 24/7 and books are heavily banned. Books probably won't be banned in the foreseeable future, but there's a high probability that we'll just forget. Nowadays, society uses technology so much that many consider books to be outdated or useless. There's so many people who simply don't read because they're so caught up in technology. Of course, technology isn't always a bad thing, but Fahrenheit 451 is an amazing portrayal of what reliance on technology could do to our modern society. It also has robot dogs, so that's pretty cool. Now that all 3 questions have been answered, I'll tell you where I stand, and I'll explain my own thoughts. Personally, I use technology quite a bit. I watch TV, I sit around on my phone, I work on my laptop, etc. In fact, I had to use technology to make this very video. I had to use technology to script what I'm saying at this very moment, and you, as the audience, are also using technology to watch and listen to me speak. Technology has become a big part of our lives, and that's okay. In my opinion, there's a big difference between needing technology and relying on it. We need technology for lights, running water, clocks, work, etc. But when it gets to the point where you rely on technology so much that you see it as the most important thing in existence, that's where it becomes a problem. And unfortunately, it has happened to me. I made something on social media, and people didn't like it too much. It made me feel defeated, and I got in the way of everyday activities, similar to how the children in the Veldt grew attached to the nursery. I felt as if I had to impress the people online. I wanted to isolate myself, and interaction with my family got worse. In conclusion, technology is important, but we shouldn't grow too attached to it. We need to take breaks every now and then. Go outside, spend some time with friends and family, put down the phone for crying out loud. Sometimes we just need to put the technology to the side and take some time to truly appreciate what life has to offer.